Today's episode is sponsored by the Positively Living Co-working Club. If you're inspired by the topics here but struggle to take action, join us. The Co-working Club provides resources and accountability focused on doing, not networking. Obligers and introverts, this is for you. Get details and join for $20 a month at positivelyproductive.com/resources. Clutter is so much more than the physical stuff surrounding you. As Peter Walsh says, it's anything that gets between you and the life you want to live. You'll want to understand just how clutter threads itself through your life in order to get a true sense of the impact of it and what you can do about it. We'll talk about its impact on your stress and focus today. You're listening to the Positively Living Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Zaratny, founder of Positively Productive Systems and a productivity coach certified in positive psychology and stress management. Join me as we explore ways to live a more proactive, positive life with episodes on productivity, self-awareness, mindset, entrepreneur life, habits and systems, simplicity, fun, and more. I understand overwhelm personally as a multi-passionate entrepreneur, wife and mom to kids and cats, and as a caregiver. I'm here to help you choose what's right for you so you can do less, live more, and breathe easier. Sound good? Let's get to it. Welcome to the Positively Living Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa, and I'm excited to bring back a topic that has been covered repeatedly here, but it's also the single most popular topic, clutter. I'm delighted to keep the conversation going because the impact of clutter in our lives is significant. And as such, the impact of decluttering is equally as significant. And I want to encourage you to take decluttering action and experience the immense benefits. Clutter affects all aspects of our lives, and it's actually how I got into productivity coaching in the first place. I began my business as a professional organizer, helping clients heal through organization. It was my way to pay it forward after experiencing that same healing myself. It wasn't long after working with clients in their homes that I quickly shifted to productivity and life coaching because I realized it was our hearts and minds that were foundational to transform our lives. And I knew if we could get to the reasons within, where the causes of clutter are and where clutter impacts us in every choice we make, that we could resolve the issues faster and maintain the resolution longer. What I found along the way was that the more we understand ourselves within, the easier and more sustainable our practices are outside of ourselves. It's a win-win, a grand mix of simplicity and self-awareness that helps us design and live our best lives. While I've had amazing resources and influences helping me learn, the combination and compassionate approach is my own spin, which I'm honored to have shared on hundreds of podcasts and stages. The most important one being right here. If today's topic resonates with you, you'll definitely want to check out the Positively Living Decluttering playlist. It's on the podcast page of the Positively Productive website, positivelyproductive.com/podcast. It's a deep dive into different ways we've talked about clutter on the podcast. I think 15 episodes when I last counted, with topics from hands-on decluttering tactics like reverse decluttering and using delegation to exploring the mental side of clutter with ways to mentally reset, spring clean, and even declutter people. Yeah, you heard that right. I don't know if that sounds amazing or horrible to you, but you'll definitely want to give it a listen to find out more. So many different conversations surrounding one topic, right? Well, that segues us beautifully into one of the most important takeaways from this episode today. Clutter is so much more than the physical stuff surrounding you. As Peter Walsh says, it's anything that gets between you and the life you want to live. You'll want to understand just how clutter threads itself through your life in order to get a true sense of the impact of it and what you can do about it. We'll talk about its impact on your stress and focus today, and after you listen, I encourage you to explore whole life decluttering with me further with the on-demand workshop I created that not only reviews what we chatted about today, but also goes into more detail on types of clutter and offers my proprietary 6-step system called the Simple System. You can find that on the resources page of the Positively Productive website, positivelyproductive.com/resources. The most common reasons someone will reach out to me for help include feeling overwhelmed and stressed. While they know I'll reassure, encourage, and guide them to create the best habits and systems for them, I don't think they always expect me to talk about clutter so much. But I know it's necessary because it's a common thread in all our lives that impacts well-being, and as such, removing it can help you claim your peace and productivity. And as a productivity coach, that is my main goal for you. So let's get into the specific impact. Clutter can affect our anxiety levels, sleep, our ability to focus, and all of that you can understand would make us less productive. Clutter can trigger coping and avoiding strategies. It basically can encourage us to procrastinate, which creates what I call the end of the Tetris game effect, where everything keeps piling on top and it's even worse than before. Research shows that our physical environments significantly influence our cognition, emotions, and behavior, and even our relationships. If our space is cluttered, even if we become blind to it and used to it and can work around it, it will still keep triggering us. Neuroscience research has found that clearing clutter from the home and work environment results in a better ability to focus and process information, as well as increased productivity. Again, every time you can focus better, process information better, get through things quicker, you're going to increase your productivity. So why is this? Well, our brains like order. And so constant visual reminders that our stuff is out of order will drain our cognitive resources, reducing our ability to focus. The visual distraction and mental distraction of thoughts and to-dos causes cognitive overload, reducing working memory. You've seen this with your computers and smartphones. Okay, when too much is processing behind the scenes, whatever you're working on currently becomes sluggish. I liken it to when your smartphone has apps running in the background that you're not using and may have even forgotten that you had, but they still drain your battery. Our energy and focus are both affected by clutter that we're not even consciously paying attention to, not even engaged with at the time. As you can imagine, clutter makes us feel stressed, anxious, and even depressed. There's a proven link between higher levels of the stress hormone cortisol within homes that have more clutter. In addition to the distraction, clutter is a trigger for guilt and shame, whether because it's a reminder of what you haven't done, or maybe the fact that you have clutter around you is a hit to your pride. I know that times when I've had more clutter, and I'm a productivity coach and I was a professional organizer, is a hit to my pride because it feels like that's something I shouldn't have. But guess what? Life happens. It happens to all of us. And that's only the impact of physical clutter that I'm talking about. You can imagine how this translates to the mental, and sometimes the physical does connect to the mental in that way. The never-ending storylines in our mind about the work we haven't done yet, the deadlines looming, and why we didn't get to the work that we need to be doing. And perhaps not surprisingly, this doesn't go away when we finally get some rest or take a break. People who sleep in cluttered rooms are more likely to have sleep problems, including difficulty falling asleep and being disturbed during the night. And I'm guessing you've experienced that can't turn my brain off feature where your thoughts keep you from resting. Yeah, all of that is clutter. All right, let's do a quick review of the clutter types and what's happening here. When I break down types of clutter in my workshop, I talk about physical, mental, and digital, along with information and tasks as subcategories within those. So with physical clutter, piles of paper, overflowing closets, disorganized spaces that lead to visual distractions and make it difficult to relax or focus. They make it harder to find things too, which takes time and often causes a stress response. With mental clutter, our brains are bombarded with information constantly. So that's even information that's coming in by emails and by information that's coming up in notification on our smartphones. And then there's also the mental clutter of unfinished tasks and lingering decisions and the negative thought patterns that we have that can create more mental clutter, leading to anxiety and overwhelm. Now, part of this is emotional clutter, emotional baggage from past experiences that we bring into our thought patterns, unresolved conflicts, negative emotions. This can all weigh us down and affect our mental health. We just talked about limiting beliefs and shame and emotional intelligence in the last few episodes of the podcast. And all of those aspects of mindset can potentially be clutter when those thoughts distract us and block us from living life. Then there's also digital clutter, an overflowing inbox, a cluttered desktop, also maybe a hugely cluttered downloads folder, ask me how I know, and endless notifications. That all contributes to digital clutter, which can lead to information overload and through whatever it is, whether it's the guilt, the shame, the processing, the constant distractions, it all leads to decreased productivity. Now, we've talked about clutter's impact on our stress hormones and the cognitive overload and even the emotional overload. But one other area that causes major stress and is the reason why you often have clutter is something called decision fatigue. The biggest culprit for clutter is deferred decisions. Many times you hang on to something because you aren't sure what to do about it. That's a decision you have to make, and at the moment, you don't for any number of reasons. You could be tired. You might not have the information you feel you need to make the proper decision. Or you might be second guessing yourself. So you put it off and the clutter builds. When surrounded by clutter, you're constantly reminded of the decisions you didn't make. And many times your brain will try to make them even though you're trying to focus on something else. It's an endless cognitive loop of what to keep, what to discard, where to put things, and all of that can deplete your mental energy. While research backs up the impact of clutter, I'm guessing you already know what it does to you, and more importantly, what decluttering can do for you. If you have taken on even a small decluttering project, I bet you felt calmer, more focused, and more in control. You felt good. You know that whole closet that you tackled and suddenly it's just, it's so pristine. You make a point to walk by that thing and open it. Even if you don't need anything in there, you still check it out because it's like, it feels good. Yeah, that feeling, that's what I want you to chase. Consider this your encouragement to take action from this episode by choosing one area of your life that feels cluttered currently and set a goal to declutter it as soon as you're able. What I mean by this is I want you to schedule a time and pay close attention to how you feel before and after. Don't wait too long, but definitely do it when you have the mental energy to tackle it and make those decisions. And then make note of how you feel after you've done it so you can tell how worth it the project was. Here are some key tips for this decluttering project. 3 things. 1, you want to start small and set realistic goals. So this is not a big project we're talking here. Begin by tackling one small area at a time. It could be the junk drawer that I want you to rename something else, like a utility drawer. It could be a corner of your desk, or you could sort through one stack of papers, or maybe your seasonal shirts. Remember, you can also tackle a digital or mental space. Maybe the downloads folder. Lisa, why are you bringing that up again? Yeah, I bet you can guess what's on my project list. 2 is be mindful and compassionate. As you declutter, pay attention to how you feel. Notice what resistance you have and what this brings up for you. And use those feelings to help you decide the choices that you're making. And also sometimes to allow you to keep things you might feel like you, quote, should declutter. It's okay. It's all about making decisions. Be confident in those decisions and be kind to yourself. You're focusing on what's right for you here. Be firm yet gentle. And number 3 is build systems and habits as you go. As you create a space that's open by decluttering it, establish systems to maintain and prevent clutter from coming back again. So that's why you go with a small bit at a time. So this could be by setting a reminder to review that same space again regularly and then decluttering it so it makes it a small and more readily tackleable job, if that's the right word. Something that you can tackle more easily. Or you could come up with a habit that helps you put away items in that space, which is another reason why clutter can show up. So that's it. Just 3 things: keeping it small and simple, being compassionate with yourself, and building a basic system as you go. And if you'd like more support with this decluttering, again, I welcome you to check out the decluttering playlist I mentioned earlier and encourage you to grab that on-demand whole life decluttering workshop. It's only $20, by the way, and you can find that on the resources page of the Positively Productive website. Remember that decluttering is not just about getting rid of stuff. It's about creating space for what truly matters in your life. By reducing clutter, you can reduce stress, improve focus, and enhance your overall well-being. Go for your next decluttering project, and I will be here to cheer you on. I never tire of receiving pictures and updates of your work that you've done to make space in your life. Thank you for joining me today. Your time is precious and limited, and I'm honored you chose to spend it with me. If you have feedback, questions, or want to schedule a chat, head to positivelyproductive.com/connect. And if you are looking for any of the resources referenced on the podcast, from books to products to training and more, go to positivelyproductive.com/resources.